They said it takes on average 2 to 3 years for a small business to profit. Because the first year you're just getting started, you're figuring out what to do. The second year you're doing a little bit better, but there's just so much cost that happens along the journey. And then the third year you finally realize what you've been doing wrong and why you're not making money. In this video, I want to talk about 5 things I wish I did differently when I first started my small business. Hi, my name is Jira, and for those of you who just got here for the first time, I am the founder of Plant Corner. We are a small plant store based in Harlem, and we also offer plant care services within Manhattan and the Bronx. This is my 3rd year having the store, and I'm not going to lie, it has been a roller coaster ride. Last year, there has been a lot of businesses like mine that shut down. And someone even made a YouTube video off of it, which I will link down below, on why plant stores are closing. I have some time to reflect and read more books this year and realize I have made so many mistakes along the way that I wish I could share with people who are thinking of starting their own business, whether it's going to be a plant store or any type of the store. I hope you find the information in this video useful. If I could turn back time and give myself an advice, my first one would be to hire a bookkeeper. Because don't lie to yourself, Jira. You're not very good with numbers. You didn't even have a solid business plan, and you have no interest in looking at your bank account until it says insufficient fund. So having a bookkeeper, they will do all that for you. Make sure that you are allocating your budget where it's the most important, so you know where to spend your money. And really truly ask yourself, do we really have to spend that money? And after hiring my first bookkeeper, honestly, it freed up so much of my time, and I can finally push back the money stuff to the back of my head and focus more on running and growing the business that I have now. So definitely hire a bookkeeper unless you're really, really good with number and you want to do all of those things yourself. Or if you can't fit hiring a bookkeeper into your budget right now, I would probably try to at least use QuickBook and categorize your expenses so you know how much you're spending, and make sure to look at it at least probably once a week so that you know where you're at in terms of your finance. Next, I would be telling myself to read these 2 books. The first book is E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Gerber, and I was recommended this book by another small business owner. I think the most eye-opening part is the fact that sometimes you started off with your business as a technician because you're very good at something. So you keep doing the thing and then you start doing that thing for others, but you're not adopting the entrepreneur mindset, which instead of you having to run and do everything yourself, you have to step up and actually run your business instead of working inside your business. It is fortunate that I found this book when I was completely burnt out and was struggling to do everything by myself, because aside from opening the store 5 days a week, I also have to work on weekend to do other back-end stuff, whether it be accounting or finding new clients or even social media. So as I was doing all those, I realized that I was actually working in my business instead of thinking about how to grow it. So this book actually prompted me to hire my first staff and finally shift or delegate some of the work to her so that I could work on running the business and actually creating the system so that the business can run itself. The second book I would recommend is Profit First by Mike Michalovic. Sorry, I'm not trying to butcher your last name, Mike. English is not my first language. But yeah, if I had found this book, I would probably start profiting much sooner. The gist of this book is you need 5 different bank accounts so that you could manage your money and make sure that you set aside your profit before you use the rest of the money. Since I read this book, I opened 6 bank accounts total for Plant Corner. The first one is the income. So any income from the store or from the services that we do goes into the first bank account. The rest of the accounts are sales tax, profit, owner's pay, and operations and expenses. The money come into your income account and then automatically being separated into my 5 other accounts, because I had this problem before where I thought of sales tax as my own money, and then when I have to pay the quarterly sales tax, I didn't have enough money. So this method just allocate the budget for me and basically tell me how much money I am able to spend. You can allocate the percentages depending on the stage of your business, but for Plant Corner, when the money comes in through my income account, it goes 8% goes to sales tax, and I believe 10% goes to tax, because we are not like super duper profitable, so 10% set aside for tax is enough. And then for profit, we also set 10% for profit, 10% for owner's pay, and the rest will go to operation and expense account. And I would only have my debit card linked to that operations and expenses account, and make sure to just use the money within that account. And because of this method, I finally have started paying myself from the owner's pay account. And this is something I didn't do during my first year or second year. And I don't stress myself out as much when it's time for me to pay the sales tax. So this book has been incredibly helpful and allows me to focus on how much I can spend, so I don't overspend and struggle to find the money to pay for sales tax or tax later on. So highly recommend for new business owners. The third advice I would give to a small business owner is to pay yourself from the get-go. And I know it's incredibly hard, because in the beginning the money is so tight. You just choose not to pay yourself in order to keep the business going. But remember, you are the most hardworking staff member for your business, so you should be paying yourself, otherwise you will start building up the resentment towards your business. Also, once you are hiring someone to do that job for you of doing day-to-day tasks, you want to have that money already set aside for them. Because when I first hired my staff, it was again really hard to for me to skim through where can I find the money to pay my staff, because I didn't have that budget aside from the beginning. So do pay yourself. You are working in your business and you're working really hard. You should get paid, even though it's just a minimum wage. You should try to pay yourself from the get-go. When I first started, I didn't set up my price for my plans high enough, because I only think about rent as my big fixed cost. So I only set the price so that it's enough for me to pay rent. So I ended up didn't pay myself for a whole year, and then I would start wondering what am I doing? Every day I'm working, I'm questioning myself, is this the right thing? Is this the right path? Why am I doing this instead of just sitting at home? Because if you're not paying yourself, then what's the point? Definitely think about paying yourself, so you know exactly how much you should be charging for your products or your services, including the hours that you put in. Otherwise, you're just creating a job for you, but you're not actually creating a business. Another thing I would have told myself is probably not to mix business with pleasure. I love plants, as you know, and I have made a big terrarium that I placed in the store because I enjoy having plants. And that terrarium is sitting in the corner, not really generating any income for the store or profit for that matter. So that space has become a dead space that I wish I utilize it in a different way. Another thing that I fell into the trap is the cute trap. It means I get all these cute stuff to sell in my store. They're not selling, but I like them and I think they're cute, so I want to have them in the store, but they're actually not selling. So be careful about mixing, what you like versus business. And Mick, my husband, if you're watching this clip, I'm sorry, I should have listened to you. But it is what it is. I learned my lesson. If you are thinking of opening a plant store, don't just sell plants, because these products have such a long life. a plant could last you 10 years easily, but most of the time, unless you kill them, it will last your customer at least a few months to a few years. So if your customer is conscious with their space and they can't hoard a lot of plants, you're not going to make a lot of money, especially because plant is such a low margin business. You have competitors from Home Depot or Whole Foods or Trader Joe's who are cutting your price down, so you're not profiting much from the plants. And then they're not buying plants every day because they don't have a lot of space to contain them. So definitely try to sell other things alongside with your plants. I would probably thinking of serving tea or coffee or bubble tea and give customers the reasons to visit the store besides from plants. So if you're starting a plant store, think about what other products that are like, that customers can buy and then use them up, like flowers, drinks, food, just something that could get them into your door on a regular basis and not just when their plants die, because it could take a long time for them to come to your store. You might also want to think about servicing other businesses. So for us, we have corporate services that we go in and take care of offices that have like over 100 plants. So having those recurring income will also help you a lot, especially if the temperature in your areas fluctuated from season to season. Like us, in wintertime, we barely get any sales because people stay at home, they don't buy plants. So our services for corporate clients and residential area actually keep us going through low seasons. So definitely think about what can you do to encourage people to spend with you all year long and not just during spring. I talked about 5 things I wish I did in my first year of starting the business, but one thing that I'm very glad that I did is to build relationship with all my customers. I'm very happy that 3 years in, I have customers who have now become our friends, and we hang out, we have dinner, or we go karaoke together. I even have customers who they're moving away, so they invited me to like their farewell party. Like, can you imagine having a business but like becoming friends with your customer? I think like if I could turn back time, I'd probably tell myself to do more of that, make people feel at home and just genuinely like build relationships with them, because I think that's the main reason why like our store can keep going. The true value of small business lies in building the community and supporting the people around it. I hope you find this video helpful, and let me know if you have any questions about business. I can try to answer them below, but like I said, I'm not, I learned from my experience. I made mistakes, I learned from it. So I'm not a professional by any means. Actually, my husband is the one who has an MBA, and I did listen to him when I first started. Oops. But yeah, leave me the comment below if you have any questions about starting your own business. And I'll do my best to answer all of them if I can. If not, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.